Plumeri's passionate principles of leadership. So you're asking, who is Plumeri? Joe Plumeri is a 5'7" tall Sicilian, 66-year-old man. Wears stumpy short ties. His presentation style is walking across the room from side to side, making eye contact with as many people as he can. I had the pleasure of meeting Joe Plumeri last year at the RIMS Risk Management Insurance Management Society conference in New Orleans. At that time, I felt as if I had known him all my life. I was able to get an invitation to their reception and their dinner because my former broker is Willis from Phoenix. And so I felt very honored to have met him then. And then this past week, I was over in San Diego at the national conference again. Was able to hear his presentation on his passionate principles of leadership. I sat on the second row in an audience of approximately 300 people. And do you know, he actually made eye contact with me. And at the dinner that night, in the reception line, he called me by name and said, I saw you in the audience today, Priscilla, and I remember having met you last year. This is an individual that exudes energy and vitality. He was with Citigroup for 34 years, and let me give you a few quotes from the press release upon his retirement. He has helped energize the Citibank branch system. Joe is unique, his style, energy, and vitality, and he's been a constant source of inspiration. He has played a role in the creation of one of the most exciting and visionary companies in business today. He joined Willis in 2000, and 2 years later, a press release stated that their stock price had risen 150%, their total long-term debt had been reduced by 30%, with a savings of $30 million. How did he accomplish this without laying off one person? And it was through expense management, he says. It's not about cost cutting or laying off people. It's watching your costs and focusing on your core competencies that is in alignment with your vision. He says also getting people energized toward a vision that he knows about. And it included establishing a program that formally recognizes individual contributions. He thought the culture needed energy. You can see the common word as I'm giving the characteristics of Plumeri. I've tried to energize something that was good. The company is doing well, he says, but it can do better, which means I can do better. No matter how well we do, we can always do better. As a CEO, I've done a good job, but I think the company and I can do better. He says you've got to do the right thing every day from the heart. And also, there was a press release of 1999 when he was still at Citigroup, and it says, the chief preacher, Joe Plumeri, Citibank finds sales religion. He's not out there, and I can tell you, he's not out there doing a song and a dance that's pretentious, or he's an imposter with his presence. And I'm asking myself, what does this individual have as a leader? I mean, he is truly a leader. I could feel it that night at dinner with 600 people. I walked into this room with a 24-year-old young executive primed for his entire future, and he says, wow. I mean, the Willis employees, the brokers, they make their clients feel as if they're the only client. And it's because of the vision that's exuded from Plumeri. He's not the spit and polish executive many people expected. He's rough on the edges, and he has all the passion to throw a glass of cold water on the bank. His vision was perfect, and he got people to buy into the vision and execute that vision, which is rare. He stresses the human touch when it comes to managing. He says, where is it written that because you're a CEO, you don't have any soul or heart or feelings? So what are his passionate principles of leadership? And I'll actually have them, I have copies for all of you if you'd like at the end of the meeting. Have a vision, obviously. If you don't know where you're going, personally or professionally, you'll never get there. Be passionate. If we're passionate about something, even if it's a hobby, even if it's something personal to us, we're going to put all of our energy, our enthusiasm into it, and we're going to learn everything we can about it. Cut a path. He says, take a machete out there and cut that path and leave a trail. Show your enthusiasm. We all know leaders, if they don't have enthusiasm about what they're doing, and you're not going to have enthusiasm unless you're passionate about what you're doing and what your vision is and your goals, what's the environment going to be like? If I walk into my office today and I'm all down and the world's on my shoulders, chances are my environment's going to be that way too. So I try to walk in with a positive attitude. I'm excited about my job, which I truly am anyway. I'm very passionate about what I do. And so then that energy, it translates into others as well. Inspect what you expect. And he gave the example of giving a suggestion to his son about breaking in a ball glove and having it sit in oil. Y'all may know about this more than I do. Well, several weeks later, he goes into the garage, and apparently there was a mess around wherever the ball glove was. And so he goes to his son, he says, you know, son, what happened here? And he says, you know, Dad, I totally forgot it. And he says, apparently it wasn't important to you because you didn't come back and ask me about it. Well, we truly want to trust the people that we work with. However, how are they going to know if something's important to us if we don't go back and ask and follow up on it and hold them accountable for what we expect? Do what needs to be done from the heart, not what you want to do. He gave the example of when Elliot Spitzer called Marsh on their contingency situation several years ago, you know, and all the brokers since then had to become transparent. Joe says, I called Elliot Spitzer and made an appointment with him. And Elliot says, I wasn't ready to ask you what was going on with Willis. He said, I didn't want to do it, but I had to do it because it was the right thing to do. Make a big deal out of everything. He had a direct report, or he hired someone that soon after he was hired got a very progressive cancer situation. The day before he died, Joe says, what can I do for you? He says, I want to be buried in Arlington Cemetery. Because of his discharge papers, he couldn't be. Joe knew Jerry Ford at the time, very close friends with him. He said, I'll make the call, I'll do my part. He called Jerry Ford, he got the appointment with the chiefs of staff, and at the end of the day, the person was buried in Arlington Cemetery. Make a big deal out of everything. Act like a leader, not a middleman. If you've done 1 through 8, then you will be acting like a leader. Don't be the middleman that's back there following, because then what are the people going to think about you? Get people to do the things they never dreamed that they could do. Wow. Can you imagine if you'd had someone in your life that pushed you and said, you can do this? I remember years ago I was offered a position and my mom says, honey, you think you can do that? You know, I'll never ever forget that. And so we need to support the younger people. We need to give back to those from our own experience and our wisdom. Surround yourself with people who want to do great things. And then finally, care so much that you enable people to live their dreams. He said, when I interview someone, the first question I ask them is, what do they dream about? How can I help you live your dream, he says. Bottom line is, we should live and act in our dreams and not our memories.